So the first thing that we did with the floor is we laid the floor out in this room for 2 days in boxes. After 2 days, we began the installation. After cleaning the floor, we drew a center line. We measured actually halfway along this axis of the wall and found the center point on the opposite wall, and then connected them with a chalk line. In this case, we actually traced the chalk line with a sharpened marker to make the line more permanent on the floor because it's cement. And then we found the midpoint of that line and the midpoint of the opposite walls, the long axis walls, and then we're able to draw a cross of 2 chalk lines in the middle of the floor. We then use those chalk lines to lay out the floor to get a sense of how many tiles are going to be needed across the horizontal axis and the longitudinal axis of the floor. So what you can see right here is we're starting from this corner of the room and working our way across the room. And there's a reasonably decent fit of the tiles across the room, although it's not perfect, and there's going to be some trimming on the side of the one side of the room that's going to be necessary. Along the long axis, the fit is also reasonably good, just in terms of the width of the tiles. And again, there's going to be some trim necessary at one end. We can see that, but it's only a small fraction of the tile, which we think is a good thing. One of the things that we discovered here in the process of laying out these tiles is that the walls are not quite straight. In fact, this particular wall has a little bit of a bulge in it, and it bows out as you work towards the center of the room. And so even though this tile is laid out well, and there's not much of a gap between this tile and the wall, the second tile does show a pretty large gap. Fortunately, our molding is large enough to accommodate that gap, and we expect that when we tack the molding onto the baseboard, it will cover the gap, and the floor will still be able to float underneath it and expand.